Gadsden Purchase. The Mexicans and the Americans were in a war called the Mexican-American War. They were fighting in Texas and part of Mexico for multiple reasons. Although the Treaty of Guadalupe had ended the Mexican-American War, troubles between the U.S. and the Mexicans had continued.
What is the Gadsden Purchase?
The Gadsden Purchase was a treaty between Mexico and the U.S. The U.S. was buying this land to finish their railroad, which would help with trade, and this land is now part of New Mexico and Arizona.
This treaty was proposed by James Gadsden and accepted by the Mexican President Antonio de Santa Anna.
At first, the Mexicans had invited the Americans to colonize in their land, but they soon kicked them out. So,
we decided to build a railroad to expand trade and travel faster. We didn't want to go through the Rocky Mountains, so we decided to take an easier route, which was headed toward Mexico. But when we got there, the Mexican border got in the way.
So we decided to write a treaty that stated that we, the U.S., would pay $10 million for 29,670 square miles of land that Mexico owns.
After writing the treaty, the U.S. sent James Gadsden to propose the treaty to Antonio de Santa Anna. Santa Anna accepts the treaty, and the treaty was signed on December 30th, 1853.
After the treaty was accepted, we continued to build our railroad, which would soon help us through trade and the gold rush.
Negative outcomes. One negative outcome was that the natives had to leave their land. Also, the Mexicans had to give up their land because they were afraid of going to war with the U.S. once again, especially since they were in debt. Lastly, Santa Anna was forced to give up his position as president because the Mexican citizens did not agree with his decision of accepting the treaty that James Gadsden had proposed.
Some positive outcomes was the gold rush happened, which led to more expansion. It was easier to travel because the railroad was completed and you got to get to places faster. We didn't have to go to war with Mexico to get the land, and Mexico got out of debt.
After the railroad started to get more popular with the U.S. citizens, more people began to colonize and our population increased.
Soon after the railroad was built, the gold rush began in California. The railroad helped to travel to places faster and led to more expansion.
After the Gadsden Purchase, Mexico and the U.S. no longer had issues or problems between the two countries. Today there is a monument at Mount Franklin, Texas, honoring the Gadsden Purchase.
Credits:
Rhea, artist, recorder, editor, voiceover.
Isa, artist, voiceover.
Bryson, recorder, voiceover.
Jaden, recorder, voiceover.